Hey guys, it is the Fossil Fish Keeper here yet again for my second video. Finally, it's been, I think, like 2 or 3 weeks since I've done my first video on my channel, and you may be wondering why. Well, let's see. That's new flooring, complete. My dad and I are putting in completely new flooring, fixing the stairs, painting this, and we're working on the floor right now down there, so we've been pretty busy. And this is my room. So yeah, my dad and I have actually been down there a lot, and a lot of my family members actually have been down at my house, but in particular, my dad and I have been down there quite a few days more than the rest of my family, and we've been working on the flooring. And the long story short is basically when my dad and us lived in Ohio, because of my dad's military situation, we rented out the house to some people who decided to do a lot of bad stuff, and they ended up trashing our house a lot and abandoning it. So they got evicted, and we had to fix up the house. We replaced all the flooring. We were replacing all the stairing, what the carpet on the stairs. And so we're doing a lot of work in there. It's a lot of stuff we have to do. So I've been really busy with that. I've also been just busy with some other personal stuff, and so I haven't had much time to do much videos, right? And I've been planning on increasingly doing more and more videos on this channel because I really want to, and I'm really passionate about my hobby, and I want to continue doing it and bring you guys along with it. One big thing I want to cover is I may have skimmed over it in my first video, but why am I starting my channel now? Like, why specifically now? Well, simply because I'm going to be moving into my house soon, and I knew that that was going to be a big stepping stone and a big leap for myself and my hobby, because I am going to be getting a job out there and going to be getting some revenue, and I'm going to try to save up some more money and upgrade everything in my hobby, including the lizards tank, which I will get to in a little bit. But basically all this is going to be upgraded, and I'm going to be having a much bigger like hobby room, more fish, more stuff to show you guys and have videos about. So I knew that all that was going to be changing very, very soon, and it was going to increase the amount of content I could make and give to you guys. With that said, let's talk about actually what's happened. So the biggest problem for me, and the biggest thing that needs an upgrade, is the monster tank, which is currently a 10-gallon tank, which isn't very monstery. But that's because the guys in here are pretty small, except for this guy. He's getting big. As you can see, there's Phoenix in all of his glory. He's a big dude. He's really big. He's gotten really big. He's about 5 inches now. Sharkbait's back there. He's really small still. He's not growing very much. And Shadow is back there, if you can see him. He is right back there. So all the fish are doing well, and as you can see, it's much clearer in here than in my first video. It's actually extremely clear in here, and that's actually not as clear as it usually was. I said it was pretty clear before, but I obviously just did a water change before that video. But this is really clear because I actually have 2 filters in there now. I have a sponge filter back there, and I have the canister filter that was already on it. What's that, buddy? It's still an hour before your feeding time, so calm down. And you can see these air tubes right here, and I actually wanted to do this a long time ago, but I didn't have the money. This is my air pump, and I actually connected it, and I bought a pack of Y connectors and valves, and some suction cups came with it as well. But this is basically all these connectors, and I had a lot of trouble getting all these to work because not all of them would actually dispense air. And so I had to actually work the valves, and it took like an hour for me to actually perfect it and try to get enough out. So as you can see, it's kind of drizzling right now. It actually kind of weakened over time. I have to readjust it. The bubbles here you can see. But I do have some air bubbles coming out of the air stone right now, and that's going to improve once I get an air pump for actually every tank. But for now, I have to use this weak one for 2 tanks, which is because I finally got my filter hooked up for my crayfish, who's sitting right there. His water's actually clearer than usual, and I'm just kind of, it's kind of recycling itself right now, so it's kind of cloudy. That's going great. He's doing great. He hasn't molted yet. One thing I moved for the crayfish to make sure he was actually safer and just was more healthy, I actually moved my heater into his tank, which you can see at the back behind the sponge filter. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but I did get the sponge filters. I got them off of Amazon, I believe. My friend Cesar actually told me about the deal. It was like $10 for 4 of them, and so my brother and I split 5, and he got 2 of them for his betas, and I got 2 for this tank here, or for 1 for this tank and 1 for him. But I just finally got to hook them up when I got this stuff, so I've had those sponge filters probably sitting there for close to a month without actually being used. So now I don't have to be as hectic about water changing with the crayfish, which is nice. But yeah. So anyways, now let's actually get back on topic and talk about the new setups. Well, originally for this monster tank, I want to upgrade it to a 150. That's what I want it to be. Once I move into my own house, I'm 17 right now, so soon, a couple years down the road, once I move into my own house, I'm planning on probably getting them a bigger one, but I want to get them a 150 gallon, and we're planning on renovating the basement inside of the house. Not this house, not the house we're renting out, but the actual house I have. In that house, I will be getting one of the renovated rooms in the basement because I want to have maximum support for any of the large tanks I'm going to have in there. So I'm currently up in an upstairs room, so a 150 gallon is off the table, right? It's not happening. So I was planning on getting a 75 gallon because one, it wouldn't be just for a temporary tank for them, but I was already planning on getting a 75 gallon eventually, and I actually had plans for what I wanted to have in the stocking of the 75 gallon, which I'm not going to get into now, but maybe you guys will find out soon enough. So the 75 gallon was what I was going to do, but there was a lot of trouble because my room is above a garage, and so it's hard to find the load-bearing walls and stuff like that. And I can make a video about that if you guys really want, how to figure out where to put your tanks. That's pretty big. And the general rule is anything over 40 gallons, you need to actually find a strong place in the house, or have a structural engineer come over and find a stable place to put your tank so it doesn't fall to the floor. Also, another really important thing is it being level, and the floor in my room is not level. So there was a lot of trouble with that. And so I ultimately decided that I'm going to go with just getting a 40 gallon tank for the monster fish tank. And that is going to be my tank for that room in my monster tank, because he is small and he'll be getting some size, but it's going to take a while, so I have some time to upgrade him. So I'm going to give them a 40 gallon tank for the monsters, and I will be talking about the stocking here in a little bit, but a 40 gallon tank for their temporary while I'm up in the upstairs room, and then once eventually I move down to the basement, I will upgrade them into a 150, hopefully. That's what the plan is, anyways. So, this little guy trying to eat the glass. Anyways, what else are we planning on doing? Well, the original plan was to get a 20 gallon tank and put my crayfish in it, because he needs a 20 gallon tank to live in. That was what my plan was. He was going to be the only guy in there, and he was going to live in a 20 gallon tank. And so, basically, I've decided, since he is really small right now, for multiple reasons, I have decided to go away from that a little bit, and I'll get on that once I get to the stocking of the tanks here in a little bit, but I still will be getting the 20 gallon tank. I'll be talking about that in a little bit. Now, however, I just want to mention these guys, my leopard geckos. I love these guys. They are my babies. I've had Jack in there. She is my oldest leopard gecko. I've had her for 10 years now. So she's old, and they can live to 20 years, so she's still got halfway to go, so she's still going to be around a while. But I've been wanting to upgrade them for a long time, and so I'm going to be having a job and having money, so I'm going to be trying to get them a 20-gallon tank, or around 20-gallon tank, because at least the rule of 10 gallons per lizard, and they've been living in this small space for quite some time, and it's not very good. But I want to upgrade them into at least a 20-gallon, but I want to get one of those tanks with the flaps on the front, like the doors that open up. And that was actually an idea that recently came to me. I already wanted to get them a 20-gallon. I was just going to get them a straight-up aquarium like this. I think it'd be better just to get one with the doors on the side, which is what I'm planning on doing. So that means once I move there, there's going to be 3 tanks I'm going to be getting. First is the 40-gallon. After that, I'm going to be getting the 20-gallon tank, because I need the 40-gallon to move these big guys in there so they can grow and they won't be stunted from this small tank. Then the 20-gallon, because I have some important plans with the 20-gallon. Then these guys will be getting their tank, and I'm going to have to wait for them last because they are fine in that right now. But I am planning on upgrading them, which they should be looking forward to, and I am definitely looking forward to upgrading. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's actually talk about what is going in what. I know that Bala sharks and Oscars can get along great, and especially if they're of size. But unfortunately, which I will get into some storytime videos on how I started off with my aquarium hobby and everything. I'm way more educated now, and I'm very confident in my skills. But I did a little bit more research on Bala sharks because I noticed that sharkbait wasn't really growing too much. And when I first got him, he was about 2.5 inches, and he's probably like barely getting on 4 now. And so I was concerned because both Shadow, my Pleco, and Phoenix, my Oscar, are outgrowing sharkbait big time. And I already need to get sharkbait a couple more companions so he can have a school. So I was concerned, and I looked it up, and it turns out that Bala sharks grow really slowly, and it can take them up to 8 years to get to their max size. So based on that, I have decided that once I get the 40-gallon tank, I am putting the Oscar, the Pleco, and the Bala shark, sharkbait, all inside the 40-gallon. And the Bala shark will really appreciate the more space. He'll be able to get away from the Phoenix, my Oscar, and he'll also just be able to swim around more. And they're very active swimmers, and he's pretty bored in there. And also, he doesn't have a school, but he's doing really well, and I love him. He's adorable. I love that fish. However, with that in consideration, I'm going to keep him in there. But once I get the 20-gallon tank, this is where stuff changes. Based on my analysis of when they're in the 40-gallon tank, and what I see, what is happening, how their growth is going, how their behavior is going, even though I'm going to let it sit there, I'm going to see how it goes, but I am pretty confident I'm going to be moving my Bala shark into the 20-gallon once I get it. And the reason for that is because my crayfish is small, and so he'll be fine inside of a 10-gallon tank. So he's literally going to be getting this exact setup. He's going to be getting the sponge filter in there, he'll be getting the canister filter that's on there, and I'll be moving this extra sponge filter into there as well. And so he'll be just getting this tank right here, which is already cycled and everything, but he's going to get a lot more space, and he'll be able to enjoy it more. I'll be able to enjoy him more and have more viewing space of him. And I think you can notice that I moved it over here because I finally got to actually see my tank some more, and you guys hopefully do too. So my Bala shark will be going to the 20-gallon, and once he does, that'll probably be the point where I will add at least 2 more members to his school, so he can have some schooling members and he'll live inside that 20-gallon. And the 20-gallon, the reason I'm putting him in the 20-gallon and not the crayfish is, like again I said, because the crayfish is small, so he can live in the 10-gallon for a while. He'll be fine in there. He has some growing to do before he can move into 20-gallon, and also the Bala shark will really appreciate more space. The extra 10 gallons will really help. And also, I'm going to be getting some schooling members for him, so they need a lot of room. So, he's going to be going, sharkbait is probably going to be, most likely going to be going inside the 20-gallon. And, Phoenix and my Pleco are going to be going in the 40. So, with that said, new fish, besides the new school members, in the 40-gallon, there's a lot of monster fish I have in mind that I want to get into my monster tank for the 150, and I am considering this ahead of time, but I'm going to be slowly adding in new fish to the tank. And I know that this is going to be hard because my Oscar has already established his territory, so I'm going to be having to change around the aquascape and stuff to try to get him out of his territory and give more acceptance to new fish. I will go through all those methods and try my best to make sure the introduction is safe. However, I'm going to try to add as many as I can into that 40 gallon, while they're all babies, of course. But the reason being why I'm trying to almost overstock this tank is because I actually want to get all of the fish used to each other so they'll grow up together and they'll be more well established with each other. So once I get into the 150 gallon, I don't have giant 2-foot long fish getting in fights with each other in a aquarium that could break and fall and spill all over my floor. So it's just a precautionary thing. I know that monster fish are very dangerous and very unruly, and so I'm just trying to take a precaution, and also I feel like it's just the best method to do. And obviously I will be having multiple monster tanks in the future, but this is just what I want to do as soon as I can, so I can try to get them all introduced and used to each other. So that is the plans for the 40 gallon completely, is probably just getting these 3 guys in there, and then the bottle shark will probably move into the 20 once I get it. Obviously I'll be getting equipment for all those, and I'm going to be just using canister filters on both those tanks. I will not be putting any sumps on them or anything like that. They're very small tanks, so they should be fine. For the 150, that's a different story. I will be getting into that once we actually come to that, and the 75 gallon I will also be getting to that, and they're both probably going to be getting sumps on that, full setups and stands. So that's the story for those, and I'll be getting on the stocking of the 75, the little secret 75 later, but I will be getting that because I really want that tank. Oh, here's Shadow. He doesn't come out very much. There's a nice view for you guys. He's just looking around. There's those 2 guys over there just chilling. So, and finally, the stocking of my new tank for the lizards is my lizards. So I'm not planning on getting any more lizards or any different reptiles. I was thinking about getting a bearded dragon, but I've decided to halt on that and just focus on my aquatic hobby for now. You guys may be expecting some more videos soon from me. I will be trying to upload some more. I have a lot of different playlists already set up. I don't think you guys can actually see them because they don't have any videos in them. Keep an eye out for that. That will be coming relatively soon. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say. So, yeah, thank you guys. Catch you guys in the next one.